Hi everyone, my name is Louis from the investment team, and today we have another Louis joining me. I have to say that it's pretty rare to meet someone with the same name. Thank you so much,
Mhm,
Louis, for taking the time to speak with us today, and I have been looking forward to our conversation about mental health. Yeah.
mhm. Likewise, thank you for having me.
Yeah, just maybe to kick us off, I think your background is really interesting. You're starting out with the machine learning engineer at Palantir and then move on to co-found Immunai, and then later working on Jimini Health. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience and how it shaped you to build the AI company today?
Yeah, absolutely. The first, Palantir was an amazing place to work. So I came to work there right after leaving my PhD program, which I left before completing. And Palantir, I was in the core machine learning team there, which at the time was a 10-person team. And the amazing thing about Palantir as a whole is that there's just so many amazing people and creativity happening there, and this can-do attitude, which is very entrepreneurial. And that's why you see, these days, so many ex-Palantir people founding companies. It's because I think it's really a great breeding ground for creation in there and for being able to do things. So, say like one of the main lessons I learned there, and many other people did as well, is that you can create and you can take risks and you can make mistakes and you can get things
Mm.
right. And Palantir is just an amazing place, both of course technologically, but also in terms of culture. And in many ways, my entrepreneurial spirit, I would say, kind of really grew in there. And eventually, I really fell in love with working at the intersection of human health and biology and AI, and decided to start a company, which was around the time that I met my previous co-founder and our scientific co-founders as well. And we started Immunai, where it was very much around working at the intersection of AI, genomics, and immunology.
That sounds really interesting. And about Jiminy Health, the company that you're working on right now, I think mental health has, I would say, what has been one of the most human-centric fields in healthcare for a really long time. We have a therapist working with the patient. How, in general, how do you convince the enterprise healthcare leaders on using this AI in their workflow?
Yeah, we we approach this from multiple angles. So one of the aspects that's been making things a lot more approachable for everyone, first, is that many of the executives that we were speaking with, over the last 6 or maybe 12 months, most of them are already using generative AI personally, right? As with ChatGPT and asking questions and really getting help, both personal and professional help. So the fact that a lot of people use it personally, and as this has become much more mainstream over the last year, just removes this cloud of fear from a lot of
Mm.
people, or at least part of the cloud of fear from a lot of people. And the second layer that has been helping us a lot is that there have been a lot of back office and clinician-facing AI tools that have entered the clinic. So both for RCM as well as for note taking and so on. So these are not necessarily engaging with the patient directly, but they've entered the clinic, and they've also shown to a lot of these provider organizations that broadly AI can help them.
Mm.
So the part that we have to convince them, and we have to educate them, and for some of that it may take time as well, is that AI is also a good fit for interacting with patients.
Mm.
And for that point, we typically approach it from two angles. The first is showing data that we have from our own clinical practice around safety and around how clinicians like using it, around how patients like using it. So us showing that we do this ourselves and that we have our own practice, right? That is a very powerful message. And the second part is that it's a very interesting one, which is that there is different pieces of evidence, both from OpenAI indirectly, as well as directly from Anthropic, that mental health is, if not the number one, very much up top among the most used applications of Gen AI. So it's basically saying, hey, your patients are already doing this. It's just that they are doing this not in a safe way, not in a privacy compliant way, and not in a way that you can really help them at all. And our chief scientist also has some work on his own that's still unpublished, showing that that this is the case as well. So we approach it from these angles.
I see. You mentioned about safety. I think it's really one of the most important piece when it comes to using AI in this therapy solution. I think we can start out by can you tell us more about Jimini Health? And I think particularly we just recently published the papers, a clinical safety framework for AI in mental health, and definitely a really extensive framework for AI. Can you tell us a bit more on that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we the white paper that we published and can be found online as well, talks about the different ways in which we think about safety, and there's lots of details there that probably it's too much detail for us to cover, but I'll maybe pick one example there, which is the importance of having clinicians in the loop. And this is, of course, core to what Jimini does, because our AI only works when there is a human clinician, which is directly both steering the process and caring for the patient, and eventually also being able to interface with the AI. So we think about that as really one of the cornerstones of safety, making sure that there's always an expert clinician, which is both overseeing, available in case there is an emergency and an escalation, and that more importantly can continuously diagnose and steer the patient, as we do not want the AI to be doing any of these kinds of decisions.
Yeah, having therapists in the loop is definitely can really help in terms of the safety. Maybe I think let's shifting gear a little bit. I think you have emphasized evidence-based AI therapies, moving beyond the consumer chatbot. Maybe can you tell us a bit more about what are some of the workflows that you are building specifically for the mental health, for the high acuity case, and why do they need it?
Yeah, so Jimini, it works. So taking a step back, we've decided as a company that we want to create technology which is a fit not just for subclinical or very low acuity use cases, but really across the whole continuum of care, including patients that go beyond the low acuity. So we have, I'll give like some examples for that, is that especially when we are dealing with partners that have, for example, substance use programs, or they might have group work, and a lot of the partners we've been speaking with, they have that. Then having workflows which focus on how a clinician will treat a group of patients together and not just an individual care is key. So there's lots of functionality specifically around group work that we are building right now to support these partners.
I see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think one of the things that I've been curious about when it comes to working in this AI solution, there is obviously the safety, and then you have to balance it with the speed of development of AI products. So in general, how do you think about how do you balance the academic rigor, the safeties, and then at the same time balance it with the rapid cycles of AI development?
Yeah. The way we approach this is by having different layers of testing. So first, for any changes to the core, to any of the key pieces of the AI, our internal team has many different methods for testing these changes and making sure that it's behaving in a way that we intend to behave. The second part is that we will also have additional, you can think about it as more like intentional tests, really trying to test the corner cases for new functionalities that we have. And finally, we always have any new functionality for Jimini first primarily available within Jimini's own clinic, which makes it much easier for us to manage and oversee a result. So by the time it is, any technology is in front of a patient, we are typically very confident that it's safe already. But even if there are minor things that need to be improved here and there, we notice that first in our own clinic before sending that to a partner.
I see. Interesting. So basically having the Jimini clinic testing it out first, and then we just start to roll it out for the partners and customer, right?
That's right, yeah. Where again, by the time it enters our own clinic, it's already safe. But for any changes that need to be made to especially make it better, then it's much easier and more effective for us to do that while we have the full visibility from our own from Jimini's own clinicians that are helping the patients.
Yeah. I think it would be great for the audience to learn more about Jimini AI assistant Sage that is actually working alongside clinicians to provide continuous care between sessions. Can you maybe walk us through how Sage works and how will user interact with Sage, and how will therapists come in between
them? Yeah. From the patient's perspective, the way to think about Sage is as a continuous companion that is fully integrated with the care team of the patient, meaning with the clinicians that are helping them. So specifically, the AI will have full visibility into, for example, what happens if they are in therapy into their therapy sessions. And so that it's outside of the therapy sessions, it's able to best help that patient really have full visibility. So in between, or when the patient is not, physically or at the same time with the clinician, the patient can interact with Sage right now, primarily via the app, but we'll also be launching additional functionalities, additional ways to interact. They can write to Sage, they can talk live with Sage. Sage also via the app, there's also different pieces of content. Sage also proactively writes to them, and this is a very powerful thing, right? That the AI is constantly thinking about them. So those are the ways that the patient interacts with Sage. And the reason why we built this is that our scientific team very early on really identified this opportunity clinically to help patients. So there is lots of papers, including some from people from our own team before the Jimini time, showing that you can have improved clinical outcomes or just high clinical outcomes if you have continuous practice with mental health care on a regular basis. So that was a lot of the scientific motivation for doing this.
I see. Yeah. And that also includes the escalation where they notice certain things and then just escalate to the therapist as well, right?
Exactly right. Yeah. So in case, so what Sage is constantly screening for different risk criteria. So we have many different models behind the scenes that for every interaction with the patient, it's screening for different things. So the most obvious one being self-harm. And in case any of these things get screened, we directly inform the clinician so that they are able to help them as quickly as possible.
I see. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Maybe let's building on top of this, focusing on the customers of yours. With I understand that you guys are focusing on the B2B2C models, which is basically partnering with the clinical organization. So I think one of the big questions that we start to see more and more is, in your opinions, what are the ROI metrics that that they should expect when deploying all these AI solutions in the organization, their clinical organization?
Yeah. So as you well know, since we've spoken about it before, the US healthcare system is very complex. So this right now depends on their payment model. So in case some of the partners we've been speaking with, some may have value-based deals, in which case they may have very easy levers to decrease clinical costs, for example, and improve their margins. So that's on the commercial side. And of course, on the clinical side, the advantage for Jimini is always that you're essentially helping the patient more, right? They have more support, there's better patient satisfaction, and there is, and we need to show this long term, right? Better clinical outcomes. And if the partner gets paid fee for service, meaning, they just get paid by the hour when they see the client, it's also all about patient satisfaction. Where the better service that this partner delivers to their patients, the more the patients will want to continue care with them, right? So this is not about getting patients to be in care for much longer than they have to be, not at all, but it's all about making sure, especially early on in care, that they are having a great experience, so that they don't go and look for another provider. So it's all about providing the best care possible. And the last part here is, and this is very, I'd say, very nascent, and it's really coming up much more, even in the last couple of months in conversations for us, is that many partners are telling us something like the following, which is like, hey, I know the world is going to go there, right? That there will be this AI augmented care models. And they may not even necessarily have right now the right way to pay for it, but they want to build for that because they know that this eventually will be where they will need to go. And of course, it will take time to get it right? These are like very big changes to these organizations. So, but more and more, I think the organizations are starting to think this way, where they just know that this is where the world will go. And there will eventually be the right payment models for that, but they want to get ahead of that and really get this right.
Yeah, with the second point that you mentioned, with all the organizations that know that this will happen and trying to get there, do you see it across across every size of the organization, from small to large, or do you see it from the small organization first, and then we start to see more large organizations?
It's a good question. I would say that there is, I would say that there isn't a clear line there, in the sense that, of course, on the one hand, younger organizations tend to be more modern, right? That's just almost by definition. So on the one hand, you have that. On the other hand, sometimes more mature organizations will have a more professional board, that will have clearer expectations around speed of AI deployment. So I'd say it's relatively nascent, but it's right now it's hard to tell if there's like a clear segment that is particularly interested. But I'd say probably the more important part is maybe the segment that is clearer, more interested are ones that have payment models that are not vanilla fee for service. That's just because it makes it easier commercially for them to make changes.
I see. Yeah, that sounds interesting. We start to see more different types of payments that much more aligned in the age of AI, more in other areas beyond the healthcare. But I think maybe beyond that, something specific to healthcare is that if we understand that it's really highly regulated, it requires sometimes FDA approval, and I think in general, how do you think about how enterprise healthcare leaders can sort of navigate this regulatory landscape when trying to use AI in mental health solutions?
Yeah, I think what we've found is that a lot of these organizations right now, they have either something like a subgroup of the executive team or a task force in the company, which is evaluating AI opportunities. So this is happening across essentially for everyone we're speaking with, where they say like, yeah, either our board asked, our CEO asked, or we just want to do this, and they are across the board evaluating opportunities to use AI, and it depends on the organization, but they would typically break it up into categories. So there will be billing related opportunities, there will be clinician efficiency related opportunities, there may be front desk and patient onboarding related opportunities, and then there will be kind of core clinical opportunities. So we find that they are like breaking it up into these categories.
I see. And just curious, in your perspective, do you see enterprise concern about the privacy of the user when it comes to using all these scribing products inside organizations, or
so most organizations, they will ask all the right questions around, hey, how is the data safe? What are your privacy and security protocols? We'll typically interact with their security team as well, who will review things, and there's questionnaires. So these are all very important questions that they should be asking of any partner, and we try to be. We've invested quite a bit on infrastructure and security in general, probably even more so than a traditional like early stage company, and these are very fair questions to ask.
I see. Yeah. I think maybe just looking ahead, like what is your vision for how AI will transform mental health care delivery at enterprise scale? Like, for example, you can go on and given examples about how like the patient will be transformed by AI, and also at the same time the therapist side as well, both sides. I think that would be great for us to learn more.
Yeah, our Jimini's vision is that every patient in the healthcare system, so this is very explicitly, excluding subclinical use cases for which there's different companies building that, where every patient in the healthcare system should have a 24/7, eventually superhuman behavioral health AI agent, which is helping them in a fully personalized manner all the time that they want. And what this means is that eventually, as AIs get better, right, these will have like literally superhuman intelligence, superhuman knowledge, right, to help the patients. It will be always steered and eventually controlled and collaborating with human clinicians that are doing the diagnosis and that are doing really the things that they're best trained for, right? And that we want clinicians to be focused on, and that this will be embedded in the healthcare system, meaning data is flowing very clearly both ways. But the point is that every patient deserves to have a 24/7 highly capable entity helping them and supporting them all the time to get better faster and to stay well.
I see. And would you say that is entirely autonomous? In the future, do you see like AI agent fully interact with the patient at some point, or do you think that there should still be like therapists in the loop, keep checking on the patient?
We believe that this is that for the use cases we are working on, there should be a human clinician involved. So there may be there may be subclinical use cases for which AI only can help the patient effectively, and of course these eventually need to go through clinical trials and to really prove that. But we are building for use cases for which a human clinician needs to be involved. Not just high acuity, but even the entire acuity spectrum. We believe that it is important, and there's also lots of science showing that the human relationship between the patient and the clinician is actually important for response. So there is a world even in which an AI could be doing a lot of the same, but we are biological creatures and we respond to humans in a different way than we respond to robots. So we very much believe that we want to be building for a future in which it's definitely going to be different from now, but where clinicians will be playing a big role. And you can think about the example from radiology, right, where 10 years ago, George Hinton used to say that there would not be any more radiologists. And it turned out to be wrong. And that's the same here, where we think therapists, psychiatrists, social workers, and all mental health providers will not be out of a job in 10 years, and they'll be in more need than ever because they'll be able to help people even more.
I also read that, and they were just moving on to the more high value task, right? And I think maybe just the last few minutes of here, I think it would be great for you to give us some of the upcoming developments or partnerships that you find exciting in Jimini Health, and that would be great.
The big next steps for Jimini is taking what we are doing to a whole new scale. So for the last year and a half, we've been really at it internally and with our own clinic and developing our product, and also deploying it externally with some smaller partners. And the big next frontier for Jimini now is partnering with much bigger players. So we will have some announcements formally for some things we've already signed next year, but that's the big new thing for us.
Nice. That sounds really exciting. And thank you so much, Louis, for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you as well, Louis.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.